What's up everybody, I'm KIRK and welcome back to the channel. 2021 sure seems to be flying by. It seems like yesterday the clock struck midnight and we were free from the madness that was 2020. And now all of a sudden we're at the end of April with summer fast approaching. However, there's still a whole lot of 2021 left to enjoy, and of course plenty of upcoming games for us to sink our teeth into. In particular, first-person shooters. For this week's video, I'm taking a break from my typical reviewing drivel to highlight the upcoming first-person shooters that I am personally excited to play. Whether they be AAA, indie, retro-style, immersive sim, or not immersive sim. These are the shooters I want on my hard drive right freaking now. But before all that, please be sure to subscribe and ring that bell for notifications on future videos. Alright, let's get started. Neon, metal, blood splatter, and a chainsaw for a leg. A leg saw. Turbo Overkill popped onto my radar just a few short weeks ago when the new gameplay trailer dropped, and I was immediately smitten. Turbo Overkill looks to be taking the wall-running parkour action of games like Ghost Runner and Titanfall 2 and smashing them together with some old-school shooter action. Simply put, it looks rad. Turbo Overkill is being developed by Trigger Happy Interactive, more specifically a man named Wadaholic, who developed the Total Chaos Doom 2 Total Conversion. Yes, that's a Doom 2 mod you're looking at. Turbo's levels look massive, allowing for all sorts of assaulting acrobatics. I always do love being able to slide in first-person shooters. I think I'll love it more with a chainsaw. Weapons look to be multifunctional. Your pistol is able to chain together attacks in a way that would make Revolver Ocelot blush, and the shotgun has a timed bomb to give the wild-looking enemies a wake-up call. And while the game is going for a retro aesthetic, the dev isn't afraid to lean on some modern rendering to bring this neon-drenched world to life. I don't think there's enough raves and Ultrakill to tide me over until this one. Turbo Overkill is set to take place across 3 distinct episodes, and it does not have a release date other than soon, but hopefully we'll be able to punk some cybers sometime later this year. Arcane Studios is a company I love to root for. They are responsible for developing some of the best immersive sims in recent years. Their Dishonored series let us loose into a dark fantasy world of assassination and magic, but it was the elegant complexity of Prey that blew me through the back of my seat. Not to mention, they worked on the best Half-Life game we never got to play. Their upcoming Deathloop, though, looks to be their most unique effort to date. You play as an assassin trapped on an island that is stuck in a time loop, with the party animal inhabitants repeating the same day over and over. Your task is to murder 8 targets on the island in one fell swoop, or rather loop. Succeed and you can escape the island. Fail and you have to start over and over and over. It's like a violent psychedelic Groundhog's Day. Trial and error goes hand in hand with immersive sims, and with Deathloop it appears Arcane has simply made it a core gameplay system. However, the devs have said that players will be able to take their time to collect clues and learn the ins and outs of the island, along with being able to retain their weapons and abilities between loops, which is nice. Deathloop seems to have a similar combat system to Dishonored, allowing players to jostle enemies around and fill them full of lead, with what appears to be a pretty meaty arsenal. Now, just when you thought this game was spicy enough, Deathloop is also set to feature a unique multiplayer component where another player can take control of a rival assassin and sabotage your loop. Supposedly, it's not unlike how players can invade each other in Dark Souls. It's hard to say how well this feature will work out, but I do like the prospect of causing some rage quits. Deathloop has suffered several delays, but it looks like it's landed on a firm date of September 14th, and is set to launch on the PlayStation 5 and PC. Well, I suppose while we're on the subject of Bethesda, there is one other shooter of theirs coming this year that has my full attention. Ghostwire Tokyo looks to have us taking on some bizarre-looking ghosts in the bustling streets of, you guessed it, Tokyo. Its combat director, who also happened to work on the combat and glory kill systems of Doom 2016, describes the gameplay as karate meets magic. I mean, you already had me at karate, but magic? Hot damn. Now, Ghostwire's colorful abstract imagery and focus on Japanese folklore is enough to get me interested, but what truly has me intrigued is that this is being developed by Tango Gameworks, Did that snail just poop the rest of the logo? Tango is headed up by none other than Shinji Mikami, the man responsible for creating the Resident Evil series, which spawned a million sandwich jokes. Tango's first game, The Evil Within, was Mikami's frightening return to survival horror, and despite being rough around the edges, it was an enjoyably spooky title with lots of brains. Literally. Its follow-up, The Evil Within 2, was a more polished and focused horror experience, showcasing how much the Tango team had grown and improved. And with Ghostwire, I am eager to see this team's take on a first-person action experience. I should mention, there seems to have been some friction behind the scenes on this one. The game's original creative director, who is an utter ray of sunshine if I might add.
We are making a new kind of action-adventure game. It's spooky.
Actually departed Tango shortly after Ghostwire's announcement to form her own studio. Obviously, speculation abounded, but according to her, the departure was due to Ghostwire's demanding development affecting her health. Right. Concerning, but I'm looking forward to diving into Ghostwire nonetheless, hopefully this October when it releases for PlayStation 5 and PC. Alright, enough of that AAA nonsense. Let's focus on something indie and beautifully retro. Compound Fracture is a first-person survival horror game that appears to be heavily inspired by the Dino Crisis series, which goddamn Capcom, give that series a revival already. A new Dino Crisis made in the RE engine? I can't be the only one who wants that. Anyways, one of my frequent commenters actually turned me on to this game, and what immediately grabbed me is how accurately the devs were able to recreate the look of old PlayStation 1 games, right down to the texture warping. And I admit, I do have a soft spot in my heart for old wiggly PlayStation graphics. Unfortunately, not much has been shown for this game. In fact, the gameplay you're seeing right now is pretty much all there is. But the developer has promised a challenging experience with a variety of guns and, more importantly, a variety of dinosaurs. There's no release date, and I wouldn't be surprised if this one didn't drop in 2021. But the idea of pixelated polygonal dinosaurs is enough for me to wait patiently for this one. Hop on Steam and give Compound Fracture a look. I think there might be some potential here. I'm gonna be real with you guys. You show me a game full of neon slow-mo and a soundtrack rich with beats, and I'm not gonna be able to resist it. Which is why I'm excited for Severed Steel. Severed Steel is a stylish arcade-style shooter that looks as though Tron and Fear had a baby and fed it nothing but steroids and speed. It's a trippy, slow-mo symphony of dives and slides and a storm of bullets that I hope will keep this gamer up into the wee hours of the morning trying to top his high score. It's also promising fully destructible environments, which is pretty dang nifty. The debut trailer was enough to get me salivating, but the recent positive coverage from a certain Reuben-eating Aussie blasted my excitement into the stratosphere. Now, before a few of you mention it in the comments, there's another ridiculous upcoming gun-fu shooter that I'm also very much excited for. Like Severed Steel, Trepang 2 is another shooter heavily inspired by Fear. In fact, Trepang can be safely considered a spiritual sequel to the games that brought us Alma Wade. Trepang 2 has actually been in development for some time now, and there's actually a pretty solid demo for it on Steam that you can check out right now. However, the developers have been pretty spotty about keeping fans updated on its development, to the point where some feared it was abandoned. But recently, the dev has put out some new updates showing off some new gameplay, which you're seeing right here, and it looks like the game is progressing nicely. Severed Steel should be entering early access sometime this year, and as for Trepang, that's a little harder to say, but hopefully we'll have something new to play soon.
A pious man among pious men, our priest of the orthogonal order humbly walks the parallel path.
After years of dealing with the disaster that was Duke Nukem Forever, 3D Realms has managed to pick itself back up and is fully embracing its retro shooter pedigree. It published two excellent throwback shooters, Ion Fury and Wrath Aeon of Ruin, and is soon to put out several remasters of forgotten classics along with several intriguing-looking immersive sims, one of which already has me dying to throw on a hooded cloak and grab my wizard staff. With Graven, it's easy to see the influence of classics like Heretic and Hexen, but this retro throwback promises to be much more. more. You play as a priest accused of murder, exiled to a dangerous and dying land. Graven promises to bring the player much exploration and agency. You begin the game with two items that permanently remain in your inventory, a staff and a spellbook. The staff is essentially your multi-tool. It can be used as a weapon or a tool to affect the environment, like harassing this poor bald dock worker, whereas the spellbook will hold a variety of, well, spells. However, as explained by the developers, they're not entirely geared towards offense, but rather offering the player a strategic advantage, like using a displacement spell to move a trap trigger. But if we're being real, I'm probably just gonna focus on spells that let me light stuff on fire and cause some general mayhem. Now, while Graven is going for a retro aesthetic, the game is actually being developed in Unreal Engine 4, which should allow the devs a lot of flexibility in giving the player a lot of flexibility. More surprising though is that the game is also promising a 4-player co-op mode, along with split screen, which for this style of game is both unusual and very exciting. Graven is looking to be a deep-ass adventure that I'm hoping will suck me right in and refuse to let me go. Keep an eye out for this one. One thing to look forward to in the rest of 2021 are major updates to some of the great early access titles available right now. Proteus developer Bounding Box has been teasing what's ahead for their throwback shooter, showing some of the new weapons in store for us. And Wrath Aeon of Ruin is set to finally cross the finish line this summer, a game I recently took a look at and enjoyed very much. But one update I cannot wait any longer for is Act 2 of Ultrakill. Ultrakill Act 2 is set to take us further into hell. Hakita has not been shy about sharing what's in store for the game nicknamed Devil May Quake. Dual-wielded, no, quad-wielded weapons, heavenly new enemies, upcoming features like custom maps, and recently he was kind enough to share some of the new music tracks. Plus, I'm sure a few of you checked out the salacious new secret in the last update. There's no date yet for Act 2. Sadly. However, it has been promised that the next update will feature the next layer, the Egyptian-themed Greed. Oh, I need it now. The last game I want to talk about is another title coming our way from New Blood that makes me want to put on a snazzy suit and start chain smoking under a streetlight while saxophone music plays in the background. Fallen Aces is a crime noir first-person shooter being developed by Trey Powell and Bond. Jason Bond. I'm sorry, I can't help it. What already has me hooked about this bloody caper is the visual style. The world of Fallen Aces reminds me of something created in the build engine, but instead of sprites and pixelated textures, everything is hand-drawn in a beautiful comic book style. Combat-wise, the game looks to have some hard-hitting FPS mechanics, as it should. This is a New Blood game after all, but also a developed melee system where you can use items in the environment, like trash cans, as well as lead pipes. Plus, I want to point out that enemies react differently depending on which part of their body you hit. And if that wasn't enough, the game appears to feature some immersive sim elements and stealth mechanics. This has potential to be the deepest New Blood game yet. Not a ton has been shown for Fallen Aces, and is the case with many games featured here, there is no release date. But the dev has been very open about the game's progress on Twitter, and what he's shown has me all sorts of excited. Hopefully, I'll be falling into this game sometime soon. There you have it. These are the shooters I'm dying to play right goddamn now. But hey, the conversation doesn't have to stop here. What are the FPS games you are most excited to play this year? And is there any game you know of that you think should be on my radar? Be sure to let me know in the comments. If you liked the video, please be sure to subscribe, like, and ring the bell for notifications on future vids. It's a big help for this channel. And be sure to check out the KIRK Collects Discord, linked in the description below. I'm KIRK, and thank you for watching this video. Stay safe out there.